Good morning. Thanks for joining me on this video today, this Easter weekend. So today we will put up a new website. We're going to use the Microsoft platform for this particular website. I'm just going to show you how easy this is and how quickly you can get a web presence. So I'm going to make a few assumptions. Let me just get my notepad open. Work. So a few assumptions here. So you have a domain name. Some domain name. Okay. I'm going to assume you have signed up with Azure. And if you're not sure what that is, we can have a look at it. It's Microsoft's cloud platform. Okay, you can go on, you can get a trial. You can sign up at no cost. Of course, you will need your credit card just to validate, but you only pay for what you use for, essentially. Right, there you go. Try for free, so you can sign up. So a little bit what it looks like. You'll see in a second what it looks like. So I'm going to assume you've signed up to Azure, and you will need Visual Studio for this here. Visual Studio being the development tool from Microsoft. There is a community version which is pretty good and works for this. Visual Studio 25, community, find it there, downloads. So once you have it downloaded, I would actually go ahead and get it loaded up. That's what it looks like. And what I like you to do is just do new project. One other bit of advice as well is once you install a tool like this here, sometimes it's good to go and make sure that you have updates, and the latest updates. Updates give you lots of different things. Sometimes they give you new templates. So when you get new project open, you have a lot of templates here across a lot of different programming languages: C#, Visual Basic, F#, C++, and even Python in there, JavaScript, TypeScript, game development. There's quite a lot there to work with. I have none of the samples installed, but we are going to use one of the templates, and we're going to work in C#. If you need to target a specific framework, maybe you're not using, for example, Microsoft's platform. Maybe you have your own web hosting somewhere, and maybe your web hosting only allows .NET 4. That's how you would change the framework. But we're just going to leave it as is because we're using Azure. It always uses the latest. Okay, as you can see within Visual C#, there's quite a lot of different templates here, from WPF applications, desktop applications, web applications, DLLs, libraries that can be included in applications. Same as this one, console applications, and we have the Azure mobile app, cloud service, mobile service, and so forth. So you see there's quite a lot to choose from, and even you have some Silverlight applications here, depending on your needs. But if you expand it open, and we're just going to work with web at the moment, but you can see there's quite a lot to choose from there. I'm going to choose the first one, ASP.NET Web Application. I'm going to give it a name and call this one, the website I'm going to put up today, it's a domain that I haven't done anything with it. It's called Cyber Threat Research. So the background to this particular idea is to collate, to aggregate, to do some in-depth focus research on some of the cyber threats facing individuals, companies and governments around the world. That is the focus for this particular website. Well, it's the idea. It might change over time, but it's research focused on cyber threats. That's the main thing. So we're going to put this website up today. Now, you see it's pointing to this page here that's saying web app nav farm. So I previously tried to put this up, and I've got the domain actually pointing to Microsoft's cloud, but I took the website down a while back because I didn't do anything with it. It's just using my resources. So it's currently pointing to Microsoft's platform. You may not have that when you start. When I go to reconfigure this domain to point to the new site, it'll be relevant to you. So assuming you have a domain, you're ready to go. So cyber threat research. I'm going to give the name of my project. So this is my name, what I want to call it. This is what the solution is going to be called in the code base. And at the minute, I don't have it in source code, but I'm going to do this step, so you don't have to do this step. This is just for my own needs. So when I create a software project, I use a tool called source control management, so that I can always commit my latest changes to some storage, so that I can always go back and get that code or a different version of that code, or I don't lose the code. That's the main thing. So I'm just going to do that real quick. You're welcome to jump to the next section or just observe what I do. So essentially, any professional software developer company will have some element of source control, source code control. And this is also a great tool here, the visualstudio.com website. You can sign up free. Let me just have you show that while what I'm doing. So Microsoft, the creator of the Visual Studio tool, they have this online service which is free for any developer. It allows you to basically host your code up in the cloud. I think it's free for up to like 5 users, so you can invite friends to work on projects with you. And it's really good in terms of its functionality. So it really helps in building applications. This is just one little view of it here, where you've got some work to do and move it through the different stages. So it lets people collaborate. It has, as I said, version control on your code, so you can look at previous versions. You can see what's changed in code. People can review the code, and it works with Microsoft Azure very nicely. So you can commit code, it can be built and tested, and then this service can then push it out to your Microsoft Azure cloud. Real nice and neat. So at the minute, I'm just going to go in and create a new project. So this is cyber, and this is going to be a research. Okay. You have the choice of the template for your project: an agile project, CMMI, a bit more formal, and a Scrum. So for me, I'm just going to leave it as the default agile. I am going to choose the version control to Team Foundation rather than get this a different version. It's just a different way to manage the code at the minute. So let's just use this one. So what this will allow me to do, once this is created, back in my Visual Studio tool, I can tick this box here, and then in a second you'll see I'm just going to re-enter my credentials here also because it's saying it needs a refresh. Just give it a second. And seems like a little bit of overhead at the start, but it's so worth it because it's very easy to lose your code, very easy to have a computer crash. Sometimes you lose your current version, or it's not working, or it's messed up and you need to roll back to a different version. So in that instance, it's very, very helpful. So I don't mind the little overhead at the start. Online it's going to work. I'm going to change the location of my solution. So this one is cyber threat research. I'm going to put it in here. And the reason why I've chosen my Dropbox folder is simply that once the project's created, saved, I have a copy in my Dropbox that I can share across devices, that I have a separate backup essentially should my machine ever collapse. Okay, so one moment. Okay, so my project is created. I'm going to navigate to it just now. And this would be the user interface for default project. So it's asked me to manage the worker, add some code. I'm going to add some code. So the code will eventually be in here. So now that we have that set up, also while I'm here real quick, I'll just show you. I'll not spend more than a minute on it. I'll just give you a quick look at what it's like. You can define the dates. Let me just take that way. So you can define, so in an agile type environment and work, initially what you do is define who's on your project and how many days capacity they have. So when they can start, when they're finished, what days off they have, how many hours per day to work on a particular project. And that'll feed into the metrics when you start to allocate work. Iteration 1, backlog. So the backlog is where you put all your requirements. So I could say create solution, for example, as a requirement, create database, and so forth. And now these are just placeholders. You can actually drill into them like this, and you can have more description. You can add statuses, what's the reason, how long it's going to take, and even who it's going to be assigned to in the project. And the importance of assigning someone to it is back in the development tool. Once it's under source control and I'm logged in as myself, I can actually see work that's assigned to me. And when I create code and I save it and check it back into source control, I can tie it to that piece of work. So we have the full visibility from the actual requirement, who created it, to the code, who created it, to then when it's checked in, eventually to be built and pushed forward to production. So that's essentially how that works. I'm not going to spend any more time on that. I'm going to go forward and show you how easy it is to create the website. So create the directory, create the name, create the solution. I'm going to add it to source control. I've got my credentials saved. And I'm going to click OK. The next screen that's presented is what kind of web application do we want to use, right? So there's quite a few to choose from. So single page applications have been popular in recent years. So they give you nice. Typically, I've seen in the past, frameworks like AngularJS using just all you have is one page essentially, and within the application you have multiple different pages. But you only stay on this one page. So the experience is that there's multiple pages and rich functionality and user interaction. But essentially, from a development point of view, you only have that one page served up. So typically HTML5, nice rich front end, good for mobiles also. Web API, so there's a little description at the side of what they do, typically used for RESTful services. You want an endpoint, you want to call. MVC, very popular in recent years. I've used it quite a lot, and it would probably be my default go-to template. I like it very much. And what else we got? So you can have an empty solution, web forms, traditional. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to select that. Nightmare. Okay. Don't double click on it. I did that by mistake. Give it a second here. So while it's loading, I'm just going to prepare, because what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go back into that folder now and get rid of it. These are some of the images I have for it. Yeah, this is why I didn't want to select it. So essentially what we're going to be using while we're waiting on that is we'll keep you informed. So we're going to use the MVC framework. So MVC is a pattern, a software design pattern. In general, software development, for building software, essentially it's not a Microsoft creation as such, but essentially it's based around this model, view, and controller design. It's cleanly separated. Nice pattern working. You find it in different places. You find it over in the iPhone development as well. Been used extensively over the years. But Microsoft are a little bit late to the game in terms of using MVC. But since they have rolled it out and open sourced it, it's been very popular. We're on version 5 or so at the moment. So you can read all about it on sp.net/MVC. There's a lot of information along the side, and a lot of interactive, not interactive, but there's videos there that can walk you through different aspects of it if you're looking to dig deeper into it. So I want to cancel that, and I want to close this. So there's what the solution would look like, a blank one. And that's fine if you're starting from scratch and you know what you want in there, but at the minute I wanted to start with a template, and that wasn't the template that I wanted. I'm going to close that down, and I'm going to go to my folder, and I'm going to delete that folder completely. some reason it's not letting me. I don't know what the correct is here with this, but I'll get rid of it. Okay, so let's try that again. The new project. I'm going to be C# web and choose the web application. Cyber threat research. On source control. I'm going to create the directory in there. Okay. This time, what I want to show is when you click on each one, you'll get a description. You can click learn more if you want. I am going to choose not the 4.6.1 templates, but the SP.NET 5 templates. I'm going to go with, in fact, you know what? Let me think. The reason is there's a slightly different architecture, so they've changed how they do things, but I'm just going to stick to this one for a second. And I want MVC, but you could have all of them within the one solution if you wanted. And I do want unit testing because I want to test my code. Authentication, so depending on where you're going to deploy this application, if you're in an enterprise, if you don't have any need for log on, you could have no authentication, but I want to be able to log on with different kinds of providers or my own registration. So that's the default. I'm just going to leave that as is. So here's the key. So because you have a Microsoft Azure account, you can then at this stage of the project creation create either virtual machines, actual servers up in the cloud with your site running on it, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an app service. So I just want the site running. I don't want all the overhead of having to manage a server. And of course, obviously, having a server will require you to patch it and manage it as you would do with any server. So leave it as a host in the cloud, app service, and you're going to hit OK. So here we're creating the app service. I'm already logged in, so at this stage it may ask you to log into the same credentials you had with logging into your Microsoft Azure account over here. So I'm going to log in. So it knows who I am. And this is it login, and this is the get into your portal. So this is the portal. This is what it looks like. And we're going to create an app service that's going to sit in here. I could do it from in here, but I wanted to show you how you do it from the development tool. So we're going to give it a name called Cyber Threat Research with a capital R. I'm going to use that. I'm going to create a new resource group. And the group it with Cyber Threat Research. I'm going to create a new Cyber Threat Research Plan. I'm going to choose West Europe, and I want free because I don't want to be paying for anything at this stage. Obviously when I roll out more professional, maybe there's a reason to pay for some service, but at the minute I want really little resources, and I don't want any overhead. So at the minute I could add a database here and provision a database at this point, but you know what, I don't want to, because we're not going to do any login at this moment in time. We're just going to put the website up online. So create the service. So what it's doing at this point now is it's creating the solution that's going to be in this tool that we can work with. And you'll notice this on the top right hand corner when it's ready. At the same time, in parallel, it is going up to the Microsoft Cloud and it's provisioning this environment for this application to run. So it'll be creating an endpoint, a URL, and the environment for that particular solution here. And then in a second, once this is created, I'm going to publish to the internet or to the cloud, and you'll see how easy this is without actually writing a line of code. Just be patient while it starts up. I suppose while that's creating the solution locally, I could show you possibly what's happening over in the cloud. Let's have a look. So it hasn't provisioned it yet, but we would see it listed as one of the sites here. Now, had I chosen the right template the last time, we'd already be published it in the cloud by now. Okay, so created the project. It's now creating my test project. And you can see down in the left hand corner here what it's actually doing. So at this moment it's adding certain libraries to the project. Okay, so project's created. It's asked me to choose my source control, and I'm going to choose of course Team Foundation Server. You've seen when I did it the other way in the cloud, it was asking the same thing. So Team Foundation Server is what I want to use. Okay. Let's just see what the next screen is. Hopefully it's my source control. It is. Okay, so it's connecting up to my, so it doesn't look like, I'll give it a second to load just in case. Yeah, so I have two different namespaces. I'm going to choose my personal one here, just as an example. What it's doing is going up to my version control system. It's pulling a list of all my currently projects under source control for me to choose which one this particular application is going to be related to. Okay, it's my default collection, and I don't want to select all. I want to select Cyber Threat Research. This is the project. I'm going to connect. And what that'll do is it'll populate this Team Explorer tab. I'll give it a second. I'm just going to use the middle icon here. Just going to uncheck that. So now my Team Explorer tab has been highlighted. You see that we're on this particular project and where it's located. I could choose my work. I could check in the pending changes. I can look at my source control. And this is what's currently up in the cloud. I could look at what work items in the project are assigned to me and stuff. Let's have a look. So at the minute we should just have that build folder. Of course, you will probably not use version control, so this part's probably irrelevant to you. Now, this is all the other projects I have in here, and there's no folder in there at the moment, but just to give you an idea of what it is. So I'm going to leave source control because it's not relevant to you. I'm going to focus on the project. So this is your default project. This is your test project, so we'll now focus on that at the moment. So cyber threat research, and I'm just going to rename it because it's bugging me. Put that as a small r. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, with the .NET MVC architecture, we have our models, our views, and our controllers. So when building a web application, a website with the Microsoft .NET MVC platform, all the HTML, all the the front end code is considered a view. So a web page in the language of Microsoft's ASP.NET MVC is a view you can think of as a HTML page. Alright, so if we look at the shared folder, we have an initial layout page, and the layout gives a general sort of header footer structure for your website in this solution. And when you have a look at this page, you can see it has an ending CS HTML, C# HTML. And the reason in a second when the page loads up is you'll see you can use Razor syntax, C# code essentially within this HTML page, unlike a normal HTML page. Hence the ending is CS HTML. Okay, so what we have here on the layout page is a standard HTML template. All HTML5 web pages will begin with a doc type like that. And standard HTML, you will have an open and close tag. So you'll have an open HTML tag, and you'll have a closing one that ends with a backslash. And that's your web page essentially. And you also have a head as an open and close tag with some information in it, and you have a body. So typical web page, for anybody who's not aware, maybe you are aware, but maybe the video reaches people who haven't developed websites before, and that's the key. Standard web page is doc type HTML open and close, head open and close, body open and close. That is it. You put that on a web with a file name ended in .html, and it renders. So let's look at what this template has given us. So within the head section, it's just set up the character set, viewport, and here is the title of the website. So when it loads in the document, what it says. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to do cyber cyber threat research, and I'm going to save that. Just Control S. I would not worry about these at the moment. I'm not going to explain it in this video. All I'm going to do is just put this website up online. I did say we're not going to write any code. However, I'm just going to change a few little pieces of text that's going to be rendered. So, and I'll just explain what you see here. So you have a div. Div is like a container. Just think of it as a container. Class is to do with styling. So I'm not going to explain it in this video. So what we have is a container. It contains another container with some styling. And inside that container you have 1, 2 containers with different styling. So within the first container, the style name gives it away a little bit there. Nav bar header. So this is going to be navigation, and by looking at it, it's a button, and it has 3 icons, and it says bar. So what this tells me from experience is this is, you know, on a mobile website typically, or on a tablet website, where you have these 3 little bars you tap and you see a menu. So that's essentially what this piece of code does here, and I just know that from experience. This HTML.action link, so this is a way within Microsoft's .NET MVC platform that you can write a hyperlink. So you know, when someone clicks on a navigation link, so this is one way to write it. You could also do it the old way. It's a href, isn't it? You know, and you could give the link to wherever the link goes to. You know, and say something like home. You know, that would be the old style, or the default. Sorry, not the old style. But if you're doing HTML outside of Microsoft's platform, you know, you do a link like that. So just wanted to explain what that piece of code did for you, so you can change it in the future. Essentially what it's doing here, if you hover over the action link and you look what it says, so skip to where it says action link. In the brackets, it takes a string for the first one, and that's the link text. So it's saying application name. I'm going to change this here because I don't want my link to say application name. I want it to say cyber threat research. Control S to save. What's it say for the next one? So link text. Next one is action name, controller name. Okay, so the controller over here, what it's saying is it's the home controller with an action of index. So let's go to the home controller, and this is the standard controller within the .NET MVC platform. So when an action is performed, such as clicking a link, it will send a request to a specific controller and a specific action. And we have several action results here. So these are in programming terms methods or functions, and essentially this piece of the function, declaration or signature, is what's going to be returned. So we're expecting to return here some kind of action result, and that's essentially what it is. And there's a lot of different things there. So you have for example, let's see, you have JSON result. You could just have string. You know, there's lots of different return types for different things there. So essentially, this particular action, which is a link, is going to go to the home controller. It's going to hit the index, and if you have the right plugin, like I do, I can just hold Control and click here, and it brings me to where I want it, where it's going to go. So essentially, that's what a user will do. They'll click that link, it'll come here, and it'll perform whatever code is in here. And in this return, all it's doing is returning a view. And again, if the right plugin, and I have the resharper tool, which just helps me with productivity, and click Control and go to View, and it's going to show me which view, which HTML page will be returned when the user clicks that link. Essentially, that's what it's doing. And click here, and here it is. So it's index.cs.html, and it's located in the Views Home folder. So we look over here, Views Home folder, and there's the index page. So that's, and you see here it has a little bit of text saying home page. So, and this is their standard stuff here. So again, container, which is a row, and I guess it has a column, and a column. I guess that's what it's looking at. So that's the home page. Again, if we just close that down, what else have we got in here? So we've got index. Index is default, essentially. You know, this is your default page, and it's typically the index page. We also see a method for about and contact. So I'm just going to fill in this little piece of text here before I publish this, just so it looks a little bit better. I don't need to for the demo, but I'm just going to do it anyway. So, and I wouldn't worry about this just in this video at the moment. This video is really to show you how easy it is getting a website published online. So these are just some little tweaks I'm making along the way. I'm not going to explain a lot of this stuff. So in another video I may do it, but not at this time. So again, this is in your application description page. So let's say cyber threat research.com. Research.com is focused on in-depth cyber threats facing the cyber threat research. That'll work. Okay, so back to our layout. So we seen this one was the home index page, and apologies. I wasn't expecting the dog to shout like that. Well, there you go. So this one here, so you'll see how this becomes clear in a second. So the user will see this, and if they click it, it'll bring them to the home page. And these three links in the navigation bar, again, they're all in the home controller, but they're all targeting different actions, and we can see those actions here. Index, about, contact. Index, about, contact. But this is visually what the user will see. Okay. So if you wanted to create a new link, you can simply just copy this. You can leave home, just change the action and come over here, copy one of those, and change the name of it to correspond with what it says here. And obviously visually what you want the user to see, and you've got a new link on your site. It's as easy as that. Of course, when you create, if you were to copy this, it would be looking for a HTML page that corresponds to the name you have here. So if I was to copy one like this and say, let's say we call it news, right? So let's call it news. So we've called it news. You see why it's red at the moment? So let's have a look. So the red says I don't have a view for news. So what you can typically do is do create razor view, and there's several options what you can do. So I'm going to choose the first one. I could manually do it over here. Because it's in the home controller, you typically want to create the index file in here in the home folder. You do add new view. It's going to load up my templates here. You add new view and put it in there manually and find it, or I can use the IntelliSense here and create the view for me. So when it creates the view, I choose with layout, and again what it's going to do is it's going to use this layout page here, and it's going to fit this HTML page inside the layout here that we see, and it's going to actually do it within this container if you're looking. So down here, so we've got the links, we've got the login section. You can create partial views, so you can create bits of a web page. So this is just an example of a login section that we can include within our main page, and that's another video altogether. And copy, so this is a copyright at the bottom of the page. I'm going to choose myself as the copyright. No, I'll choose the website. It's really under it. So date, time, now, that year. So it's going to give you 2016, and some includes some scripts and stuff. So that's all I'm going to do in terms of making changes. What I want to show you now is how to publish it. So from Visual Studio, I go to the build and I publish. Okay, because I originally created this site as an app service, it already has that information there for me. If I had done it manually, I'd have to go into my Azure up here. So here it is. This is what it created for me. So if I did it manually, I would have to go with this here and get the publish details. And essentially what you do is you come down here and at this stage here you import it, and it will give you all this information. So next, I want it in release mode because it's going to production. You have other things here like remove any files, if you have a database or anything like that there. And I'm just going to take it, there's nothing to do. You can preview it if you want, but I'm just going to publish it. Okay, simple as that. And what it does is, like any other project within Visual Studio, it first builds it, so it compiles the code here in the executable format, and then it'll package it and it'll send it to the cloud and deploy that there. This tab here shows it better. So once it's finished building, we will come back to that tab. So there it starts. So start web deploy publish, and this is going to the source control management as part of the Azure site. Access controls for the path. This is what it's doing. These are our executable libraries that it's including. And it's done. So that took, and of course once it's published, it also opens a web page to show you. Okay, so here we are. This is the site that we just deployed. So you see when I made the changes to cyber threat research, I made the changes to here, and what I didn't do was I didn't put the I didn't put the extra link in. I created the action for it, but I didn't put the extra link. But you have a fully, so this is the homepage we're on, you have a fully functioning site. That piece of text changed as well, and it's pretty fast. Now if you did link up a website, or sorry, a database to it, you'd have the code already in place for registration and for login, and it doesn't take too much to use Facebook and Google and stuff to log in. But that's it, your site's live. You can then continue to work on here. You can make the changes. So let's show you how to make the change. So we already have the action for the news page. I'm going to copy that link and I'm going to change this to news to correspond with what's in my home controller. Right, so just look in index about contact news, and I'm going to change that to news also. I'm going to put a new item on the menu, and I'm going to publish again. I'm just going to hit publish. Give it a second. Okay, a lot faster that time because there was not many files that changed. Give it a second to load up, and here we have a new menu. Now it has an issue with that, so let me have a look. So home news brings me to here. News brings me to here. I'm going to take that away for a second. The layout. Look at this one. Okay, so those ones don't have a layout page, so I'm going to take layout away. That was not correct. I thought maybe I had to do that there, but looking at the index and the home, they don't have that, so I'm just taking that away. Publish again. Let's have a look at the result. Okay, so yeah, that was my mistake. Alright, so that's it done. So other things like, you want to change the color. So I'm going to right click and inspect this within Chrome. So that's a particular class is doing that. That's that one. That's the whole one. I'll have a look and see where the color is. It's the color. It's not that one. I'm guessing it's on actual nav bar itself. Here maybe. That's the body. Essentially, when we're developing, there they are. Okay, so I can find out what style, it is, and I can make the change. Right, so I can say it's actually 267 I want, and I can find this nav bar inverse. Right, so back to my, this doesn't help you at all here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my content folder, which is where my styles are, and I know that it's not in this one, it's in the Bootstrap one, and I'm going to do Control F to find, and it's nav bar, there's inverse, and I don't want the entire solution, I just want the current document. Okay, did we find one? We did, which is black, and maybe I change it to that color there, which is the blue. And then I publish. It looks like you might find a few instances of that, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to publish it to see. Now I can click here where it says Google Chrome, and I can run this site locally on my computer and make the changes here before publishing out to the cloud. But I'm demonstrating how easy it is to make changes and push it to the cloud very simply. So in this case, that style change that I made didn't take effect, so there must be some other overriding styles that's doing it, and I would find out where they are and make the changes. So the last piece of the puzzle, and try and keep it short here, is we want this domain name to be for this website. So we don't want this website, we want this domain name. So how do we do it? Right, so inside the app services, under our application, under, let's have a look. So I've changed it slightly. Custom domains, SSL. So it's telling me that's for SSL, but I want to bring an external domain here. So it's telling me it can't be added on a free plan. Okay, fair enough. So what is the next stage up? Custom domains. It's probably going to be this one here, shared. So €8, not a big deal. About £5, I think. So it's giving me an IP address, which I will use in my A record. So where I have my domain is on GoDaddy. You may have your domain somewhere else. Okay, so manage my domains. Okay, looks like I have it blocked. Let's just allow that there. I just want to. Okay, maybe not then. Alright, third time lucky. So this is one provider I use for domain names. I've got more, but I'm going to look for cyber threat research. And yeah, so again, the name servers are pointing here. So this is my own name server. So what I have to do, let me see who's managing the DNS. Okay, DNS are being managed up in this name server. So I'm going to skip over to my other hosting provider. Okay, so I'm guessing it's probably going to be on this one. And so let's have a look. No, I don't see it on this one. Let me try this one. It's not on that one either. Okay. Okay, looks like it's on this one. Save threat research. Here we are. So I'm going to go into my DNS setting, have a look at it. So cyber threat research. I'm guessing. I'll just double check. So it's asking me cyber threat research, cyber threat research. So as you see from my previous attempt, I have all those in already. Okay, so all I need to do is update my A record. So in your case, you probably need to add entries into your domain in your DNS settings somewhere wherever you've got your domain registered to point to these ones that Microsoft tell you to. It tells you in here what to do. Because I've already got that done, I'm just going to update my A record, get rid of the old one. Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. So I'm going to try again. Okay, so that's not supposed to happen. I have to raise that with my hosting company in a second. So I'm going to try a different attempt, which is restore the default A record first. Okay. So it says it's restored it, but as you can see, it doesn't look like it's restored it at all. So is that right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to end the video here because it seems like there's some issue with the hosting company that needs to be resolved. But essentially, I would put those two IP addresses in there. They're my A record, and then my site. This would show this, and it's done. So thank you for being patient. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps you get a web presence real quickly and easy without spending money. So if you got any value from this here, if it helped you in any way, look out for the, if it helped you in any way, leave a comment, like the video, share it to your audience or to people you think will get value from it. Subscribe. The reason why I subscribe is I'm going to do a follow-up video here, which will be a bit more, it'll deal with the DNS aspect and mapping the DNS to your site and stuff. At the minute I'm just running the little challenge here with the hosting company, so once I resolve that, I'll do another follow-up video. So if you subscribe, then you can be notified when that video comes out. Thank you very much. Appreciate